Okay, thank you so much all for being here with us today. My name is 𝗀𝗿 𝗂𝗏𝗃𝗿, and I'm the founder of African Living Fully. I would like to take this time to specially thank you all, the speakers, participants, and my co-host, Madeline Ramos, who is our support team lead right here on Africans Living Fully, and will be coordinating this session with me. Welcome back to the 4th week of the Guide to Globe of the Guide to the Future of Work and Global Transition, a webinar series by Africans Living Fully, specially designed to help you pivot in your career, business, and in your life amidst this new normal. On this week's episode, we have two incredible. One of them will be talking to us specifically on how we can better be able to position ourselves if we are already existing social entrepreneurs to attract the right funding and partnership for our business. And the other one will be talking about the innovative ways in which you can be able to bring your idea not only into action, but ensure that your idea is profitable and is sustainable. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome our speakers. The first speaker for the day will be Ms. Chinenyenwa Okoro Onu, and together she is going to be speaking with Mr. Emmanuel Inyami. Mr. Emmanuel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm here.
Fantastic. 𝗬𝗍, thank you so much for joining in. Where are you tuning in from? Can you share with us what topic you're going to be talking about? Why is it important? And why is it important at this particular time to be talking about social entrepreneurship of the future? Thank you.
Thank you everyone so much. Greetings from Ghana. I'm excited to be joining this very important conversation. My name is Chinenyenwa Okoro Onu. I am an environmentalist, a social entrepreneur, and an enabler. I run a social entrepreneur. Social entrepreneurship hub that is focused on environmental sustainability, innovation, prototyping, and design. Today we'll be talking about innovative ways of accosting social concerns and mobilizing the right resources to support the mission. So basically, I'm just going to be sharing with us how social entrepreneurs would drive change for the future of work. What are the myths? What are the do's? What are the don'ts? How can we position?
Absolutely. Mr. Emmanuel, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you, 𝗀𝗍, for the kind introduction and also for inviting me to be part of this webinar. I am really honored and I feel so grateful to be sharing, my knowledge to everyone who is part of this call. So I am an activist. I write as well and also speak on topics including social entrepreneurship, community building, diversity, and global issues.
Right.
And I am really looking forward to what we can accomplish through this webinar. And I entreat everyone to be at least interactive. Feel free to put in questions, and I'm going to be answering all your questions. It's a topic that is very dear to my heart because I find so many social entrepreneurs who want to really make good impact. But when it comes to the business side of it, it's always a challenge. So I look forward to being of help, being a resource to everyone on this call. Is 𝗬𝗍 back? If she can.
Yes, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for the introduction. So we will have it with 𝗬𝗍, and then we will begin the conversation shortly.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Apologies for that interruption. So like I mentioned initially, my name is Chinenyenwa Okoro Onu. I am a social entrepreneur, an environmentalist, and an enabler. I am reaching out to all of you from Accra, Ghana, the 𝗰𝗂𝗀𝗿 head office. 𝗰𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗿 is an innovation, inclusive co-working space, as well as an incubator for environmental sustainable entrepreneurs. So we work closely with social entrepreneurs as well as people who are passionate about driving change for environmental sustainability. Very much excited for today's conversation, of course, how we can drive sustainable innovation and most importantly, the future of work for social entrepreneurs, and how best we can mobilize resources and also the areas that we can focus on in terms of driving change for, of course, not just the continent, but for our communities as well. So thank you all so much for joining. Looking forward to answering all your questions, learning from my fellow speaker, Emmanuel, and hopefully we'll have a great conversation. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you both for that wonderful introduction. So without further ado, I would like to invite you, 𝗀𝗁, to continue this conversation. Can you give us a little bit of a background about how you found yourself as an environmentalist? What made you to choose this as a career path? Was there any point, and why has it become such an important aspect of your life?
Okay, thank you, Fadila, for that question. I mean, I would say it's an accidental blessing. I found myself in the environmental space by accident, honestly, because I came to Ghana about 10 years ago for education. I'm a HR professional. And while I was, in school, I found myself among a group of very amazing young people who are championing social changes for our community. That organization is called Enactus. I'm sure most of us are familiar with them. Basically, what they do is they enable young people who are in tertiary institutions to come up with sustainable ideas to solve their community problems, environmental problems, etc. I joined them, and one of the projects we had to do that period was around sensitization for waste management, cleaning up our environment, personal hygiene, and all of that. And every time we'd go out, clean the gutters and collect the waste. And there's just this one bugging problem we had. After collecting the waste and separating it, the waste management companies would come and just pack it and mix it together. For some of them, they don't even come to pick it up at all. So we started thinking about how can we solve a problem, not just necessarily eradicating waste completely, but reducing it to a barest minimum and transforming it to new products that people will be excited to have back in their homes, that people will be excited to use, that will be beneficial to our communities. So we started by using arts as the major form of communication. Of course, art is one thing that everyone and anyone can relate to. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't have a relation whenever they see an art, I mean, irrespective of what it is. And we started using it to make images, mosaics to be precise, using the plastics, the paper, the can, the stills, and all of that to make, paintings. And people would see it and they're marveled, like, wow, how did you guys come up with this and all of that? And that was how, the entire conversation started off with art, innovation, and creativity, nothing is a waste. We started educating our communities. We started coming up with projects in local communities, and that's how it just all started. And I realized that, I picked personal interest to this particular project because, I mean, as a kid, I'd remember, look at what's happening in Accra. When it rains and, the gutters are all flooded, we as kids are very excited. We'll be playing in the water, running up and down, floating our plastic bottles, like it's canoe and stuff. And, as a kid, I never knew that that was a problem. That was an environmental problem. To have our streets flooded that bad was a problem. And growing up and realizing that, oh, my favorite moment as a kid is actually a disaster, really kind of like motivated me to see how best we can solve some of this problem. So that is how I found myself, in the space of environment. And after I left school, even though I studied HR, I had to go back and certify as a professional in the environmental field. I have different certifications around upcycling, recycling, resource reclaim management. And over these years, it's been very, very amazing because I'd never really imagined that a path that I thought was something I was doing for fun could actually have been a career path for me. So environmental sustainability is something I hold dear in my heart. It's something I eat, breathe, preach, and I cannot stop talking about it because it's just one big ball that binds us all together. All the innovation, creativity, all of the ideas, all of the resources that we all want to be able to champion change for Africa lies solely on our ability to be able to breathe fresh air, lies in the ability to be able to live in a livable environment. So this is how I found myself in the space of environmental, sustainability, eco-friendly, and all of that.
This is amazing. So would you say that at the foundation of every social entrepreneur, there needs to be that moment when they identify or recognize a need for a social problem to be solved?
Yes, exactly. I mean, there is no social entrepreneur without a social, problem solution plus or minus in there. I mean, for every social entrepreneur that I know, their businesses or innovation or initiatives were crafted based on a problem that they were facing, either in their community, personally, in their business, in their lives. Most of the ideas are carved out of that. I don't know if Emmanuel will have a different perspective on this, but I think most of the social businesses that we see are kept solely not only to solve problems, but also enable people find solutions to things that are very challenging to them. So yes, you're right when you say that at the depth of every social entrepreneur, they are definitely solving a social problem.
Thank you for that. I think at this point, I will invite Mr. Emmanuel, and we'll have both of you have your mic on so that depending on what question we ask, either of you can be able to answer. So Mr. Emmanuel, one of my fundamental questions that I would like to begin with you on this conversation is, how do you see social entrepreneurship changing in the new normal? We hear digital transformation, artificial intelligence, blockchain. We hear that the world of business is not going to be the same, which personally I'm actually experiencing. And I believe a lot of people, especially with the pandemic that just hit, it has forced business to rethink the way business is done as usual, because business as usual has not been working and there needs to be a re-strategization. So how has globalization, digital transformation, and technology affected social entrepreneurship, and why should people in the industry care?
Thank you very much, Fadila, for this question. Indeed, things were evolving. I mean, way back, like some 5 years ago, with people considering the internet for conducting their business. But I think COVID-19 has made it very necessary and urgent for all entrepreneurs and businesses to consider virtual business management practices, and also consider conducting business using the internet and considering internet in general for everything that they have to do. And I believe that indeed things will change. Eventually, we're going to have schools or students going to school on the internet. We're going to have so many things depending on the use of the internet, and it's something that I believe was a blessing in disguise through COVID-19. So for social entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs who want to provide solutions to problems in their communities, it's going to be mandatory. I feel it's going to be mandatory. You really wouldn't have an option to not include, internet uh, or virtual practices in your business model, because you simply have to do it. Whoever thought we were going to work from home, whoever thought it was going to be normal to work from home, whoever thought that we used to have, especially I'm talking because we're in Ghana, but buying things on the internet wasn't so it wasn't growing rapidly, apart from maybe the few online shops like Jumia. People would rather go to the markets to buy foodstuffs, or they go to the supermarkets to buy things. But because of COVID-19, we are forced to order things online on our phone, on our laptops. And I think that, yes, in the future, we are going to see things like sitting in your homes and, transacting, business is going to be very normal. So for like social entrepreneurs, new people trying to enter that space, I think is something you have to consider. if you are really, if you really want to be in business, rather than doing things the traditional way.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I will add that I believe that at the foundation of like 𝗬𝗎 shared of every social entrepreneurship project is the ability to solve social problems. So social entrepreneurs of the future, and we're not talking about tomorrow, we're literally talking about today. We say the future of work, but the future of work is already being accelerated as we speak. So we first need to, I believe, even in the social sector, demystify that fact that the future is 3 months or let's say 10 years away from here. Yes, the future is 10 years away from here, but the future of work is happening right under our nose right now as we are speaking. So we need to first not think about this concept as something that's going to happen in the very far future, but start to adopt that it's already happening. It may not be happening in every side of the world or in every particular industry, but the earlier that we're able to recognize that change is already here and it's already coming, then we need to find new ways in which we can be able to solve social problems online without necessarily having to be in a physical location. But it does not do away, because the future of work when it comes to digital transformation, Oslo is not talking about the fact that we are no longer going to be working physically at a physical location. We still will be able to do some outreach. We'll still be able to conduct other physical activities, but business models need to change and we need to rethink the way in which we are approaching social entrepreneurship. So the next question will be, for anybody who is looking out to start out in this space of social entrepreneurship, what would you say are the fundamental principles that they need to have and the skills that they need to have? This question goes to both of you.
Okay, I mean, I don't think there is a complete roadmap as to, oh, this is where you should start or this is where you shouldn't start. So I'll take a case study from myself personally. Being able to run some of the projects, I mean, I started my social entrepreneurship journey as something I wanted to do for, not just because it impacted my community, but something I enjoyed doing, working with other people, enabling others and all of that. And then I realized there was a niche. I mean, there was a huge gap in the space of as to how we can transform what we're doing in a smaller scale to a more larger and bigger scale. Now, that is where the real whole thought leadership around business development comes to play. So if you're looking to see how you want to transform just that way of solving problem to preferring solution, you need to consider it as a way of doing business in the form of, I'm talking about in terms of operations, management, project management, analysis, assessment, and all of that. So the first thing I would share is the first thing anyone who's looking to going to becoming a social entrepreneur or impact entrepreneur should consider, first of all, why they decide to do this. So what is the goal? I mean, what is their mission and vision? Because they need to first of all identify what the mission is for them, what is the end game, what are they looking to, what are the impact they're looking to measure at the end of the day, because I feel like that is the first thing you need to identify. And after you're done with that identification, you then need to build a roadmap as to, okay, who are the people that I need in order to achieve these goals and objectives? Because trust me, so many amazing ideas have died and are still dying because of lack of capacity, great team and all of that. And you need people who would ride with you all through, because I keep saying that social entrepreneurship is way more difficult than being an actual entrepreneur, because you deal with so many other things in terms of, you have to be emotionally intelligent, you have to consider some soft skills, especially if you're working with communities and people. It's very much important. So you need to first define your team. Who are the people that you need to be able to achieve these goals and objectives? And after you have that, then you design a plan as to, okay, these are the different areas of these are the different scope for this problem, or these are the different areas for this project. Where do you want to start from? I used to have a problem. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I think somebody's mic.
Do I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay, I think one of the challenges I faced when we started was having to juggle up everything. So we wanted to do outreach, wanted to do education, wanted to do corporate, wanted to do product. We had so many things we were doing that at the end of the day, we were not meeting, you know, we're not, at the end of the day, there was no output, and we felt like, okay, we're doing so much, but we couldn't measure the impact. So we decided to retrace our steps, take 2 steps backward and say, look, this is the chunk of what we need to do. Where do we need to start from? Do we need to focus on product development? Is that what people are more interested in about? Of course, because of the angle at which we chose the arts, people are more fascinated by that. So it would make them want to do things differently, especially when it regards to waste management. So we started with developing the arts, showcasing, educating people. We then, because then also the arts comes to education. So we focused on that, ran with that for a while, develop programs, develop courses. So it's very much important to, yes, not lose sight of the entire goal of what your organization or your social innovation wants to solve, but you need to be able to beat it in chunk. And I feel like once you get to that point where you focus on a particular area, it will help you scale, it will help you reach more people, your impact will be felt and measured, and you'll be very much happy with, you know, the outputs at the end of the day. Yes, the response as well. Yeah.
This is very profound that you shared that. So one of the main challenges when people are starting out the social entrepreneurship project, I think a lot of burnout actually happens due to the lack of this adequate, I wouldn't call it planning, but adjustment and listening to what the market is actually responding to. So for those people who are starting at ground zero, they have no money, they have no contacts, they see an opportunity or they see a problem within their society and they want to solve this problem. How would you say the approach will differ from that who wants to do a charity business, charity organization or charity project to he or she who wants to do a social entrepreneurship project?
Okay, let me come in here. So, I mean, the whole idea about social entrepreneurship, I feel most people get it wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And there are 2 aspects, you know. There are the wealthy people like, you know, footballers and, you know, musicians and artists who have the money and they want to say, oh, let me set up this foundation and support needy folks in my community, or let me build this school in my community, or let me build this road. You know, these are like social entrepreneurship initiatives to help, you know, solve problems in their community. And then there's another aspect where there's a young guy who grew up in a very, excuse me to say, but maybe in a very poor home, and managed to succeed, you know, because he took his studies serious and went to the best of schools and got, you know, the best grades, and has now completed university, working with a good organization. He wants to give back to his community to say, I want to help other young people, you know, who are facing the challenges I faced when I was young. And so I want to set up like a scholarship scheme, for example. So with these kind of people, it's easy to say, okay, I'm out of my salary, I'm putting together some small amount of money to support people. But, you know, with things like this, you need to be strategic. So assuming you even don't have money, you know, to become or run a social initiative, I think the first thing you need to do is to read a lot, you know, read a lot, join webinars like this one, you know, have, you know, a prototype, you know, how do I want to, you know, make this initiative work? Who in my community or in my network is doing something similar? How did the person achieve success? How can I learn from this person? And sometimes I feel like we have resources like the internet at our fingertips, but we usually don't make good use of it. You can easily reach out to people on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook to find out, you know, how they're doing. Just ask for a 30 minutes, you know, call to learn something new. It doesn't hurt, you know. And out of so many rejections, definitely at least 1 or 2 folks would love to speak to you. So I think from the onset, you need to learn how the social entrepreneurship sector works, you know, so that you don't find yourself always throwing money and then getting less value. And that talks about the whole business side of, you know, being a social entrepreneur. So you don't see yourself digging, you know, looking wretched and not really gaining anything, but then you're always digging, and then throwing money around, and then there is no value, and you're not able to collect data from the works you've done, go back and evaluate everything you've done. So I think, first of all, try and learn from, the successful ones. Try to read a lot of material about starting social initiatives. Reach out to people, ask for help, join webinars like this one, and right from the basics, you have to be determined. Because it's not like an already operating business where you can easily sell products by moving from house to house, and then you get some money. Social entrepreneurship takes different forms, and you have to be very strategic. I think the key word is being strategic. Otherwise you find yourself digging for so many years, and there's no value
No value.
or return. Yes.
Thank you so much for that. 𝗬𝗍, would you like to add anything in respect to how people can start out right and come up with quality for success?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that, I think you mentioned something and say, how do you differentiate yourself from a charity and a social entrepreneurship? First of all, the structural base of social entrepreneurship is one that has no form, especially in Ghana. So you might as well, in terms of the registration, or even wanting to become a formal social entrepreneurship driven organization, you have to go and register your organization as an NGO, which is a charity.
Right.
And then also join organizations to so like the Social Enterprise Ghana, which is now trying to push for a different arm of registration, which is for you to be able to register your institution as a social enterprise.
Right.
That is still not a formal form in Ghana. So most social enterprises in Ghana or across the continent, I think, because aside Kenya, there is really, they all run as charities, exactly. So if you have to think about that context alone, it means that what you are doing is for just helping people and all that. But if you think about it from a different perspective as to how do you intend to sustain the business, is very, the initiative is very important that you think like a business person, because like Emmanuel says, you need to learn from others, you need to looking at what I know now, if I knew some of the things that I knew when I started, I think I would have gone way, way far than I am now. And that includes, the first thing you need to first of all do is look at people who are interested in what you're doing. Because if you find the people who are interested in what you're doing, that is all you need to expand, to impact more people. And if people are not interested, if you go to people who have no interest in what you're doing, you're just going in circle. And once you find those people, a core number of, say, 5 institutions or 5 people, I call them support systems, people who can push you one way or the other to ensure that you get what you need, be it going for funding, donor, and all of that. And that's where the soft skill aspect comes in, which is building relationship, networking properly, knowing the right people, or knowing people who have been in that space before you. So it's very important that we look at things from that angle, because trust me, being a social entrepreneur is way, way, very, very much overwhelming. Reason is because at the end of the day, you're not supposed to be making profits, right? You're supposed to measuring impact. So if you're spending so much money and you're not able to measure impact, you're not collecting any form of data, then your entire work process is a waste of your time. You're just going to be very much popular with doing so much, but there's no self-fulfillment. So there need to be a constructive, like you said, a strategic method of looking at how you want to self-sustain it. Is either you develop a product, you develop a service, or you have a sustainable fundraising method. So part of how I do this is connecting with friends, families, and say, look, I'm doing this. Can you subscribe monthly? So for every month you're supporting the organization with, say, maybe $5. That becomes a sustainable form of income, right? You know that, yes, that way money comes in. Or you're doing a service, you know that this organization or this company has subscribed. So every social business needs to be, for its inception, I mean, from what I've learned, think about how they intend to self-sustain. Because trust me, you write millions of proposals and not get any response. you would
I
do concept
love
notes. You
that.
spend your entire time applying for grants and not get any response. And if you are not careful, you go and apply for a job because you're frustrated. So we need to really think about that process. It's very much important.
I love this. Like, you spoke from the heart, and I so much relate to this. In my earlier journey, before I decided to start my own business, I didn't quit on my, I would say, aspiration of making a social impact. But I realized that the route I was taking, which was literally what you were talking about, I was writing proposals, I was going for conferences, I was pushing, but nothing was really coming in. And I'm like, girl, you need to put a pause on this and create a sustainable model whereby, or you need to separate the project that you're doing that is for impact and do another project that is for profit. And then that way, as you're building the relationships, then you can be able to start to influence those people whom are in your cycle to be able to support the project that you're doing, which is socially driven. So I love that. Now let's talk about how can people who have already started a project that is a social project and is currently literally dead due to lack of funding and lack of the partnerships that is required, revive their dreams. Let's talk about that briefly.
Okay, so that was a very great, remark from Chichi, and it reminds me a lot of some startup that I had a chance to mentor in the past. This issue of always writing grants and proposals, in search for funds is crazy, but in the nutshell, if like you rightly said, if you're able to learn from the successful ones, you definitely find out how some of these things work. But going back to your question, Fadila, about dead careers, I think one thing you need to find out
Dead
or
careers
realize
is too deep.
I mean, dead enterprises. Let me put it that way.
Yes.
If you really, I think, to me, I think that there is no enterprise that should die, especially social enterprise, because there are so many problems in our communities and they fit in perfectly. Unlike other ventures where people don't use typewriters anymore. So if you invest in typewriters, no one is going to buy it. Yeah, it's quite different with social enterprises. It's like there's always a need for it. So when it dies, you shouldn't be discouraged. You just have to find out why it died. And one of the ways is to use surveys, find out from people who have benefited from your NGO in the past, find out how they loved it, anything that they wish could change from the enterprise. And another thing about most social entrepreneurs is the inability to listen. It's like, yo, I'm gonna save the world and hope to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you need to position yourself to listen well to the successful guys who are doing it. Like, just relax, listen, go do it. I believe in feedback and I believe in mentorship. So when you have a mentor who understands what you're doing, he can support you emotionally when you're down. He can support you with the structures in your enterprise to ensure that everything is going on well. And here's the thing. I have realized that most of the time when a social enterprise dies, it's because the founders were running it as a hobby. And I say hobby because there is no intention to either make impacts or increase revenues or make money. So it's more like I wake up today and I feel like, let's go and pay school fees of 5 kids in this community, and then go and pay, and then we take pictures and videos. Yeah, yeah. And then we take pictures and then we share it on social media and stuff like that. And I feel like, no, when you do these things, people see it. And we are human beings. We sometimes feel like we are doing something, which is great. It's good to do something, but on the outside world, people see what you're doing, and it's easy to see if what you're doing is a hobby or not.
Right.
You know, it's
So
very
like
easy.
it's
Like, yeah, it's very easy, and people will take you serious when they are able to see how serious you are. Like, you commit to a schedule, you have built
right.
structures, even if you do not have an office, which is common for most social enterprises. I mean, don't feel bad if you do not have an office.
I don't
And
have an office. I run a
yeah,
business, but
for
I don't
you,
have an office, and I don't actually even want to open one.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's totally fine, you know. But I mean, you have to build the structures. When I say structures, I'm not saying go and build a house. No, I mean
Right.
internal structures that can help your business, you know, thrive or survive. And so you need to differentiate a hobby from a business. Social entrepreneurship is fine. You're doing charity and you're helping your community, you're solving problems, but think about the business aspect. A social enterprise, sometimes what I advise people is go and look like, go to the website of TechnoServe, for example. TechnoServe is one of the leading, you know, NGOs or social enterprises in the world. Go to their
Right.
website, see how their website is built, look at
Mm.
their vision, mission, compare it to what you're doing.
Yep.
Are you do you
Uh-huh.
see the distinction? Do you see you are doing your business as a hobby instead of like a real business? You know, so these are some of the problems. And once you keep on doing this, people see it and they see, oh, okay, oh, it's one of those
Mhm.
things. You
Yeah.
know, like, so differentiate your hobby from your business. Be intentional about making impact. And business is all about
Mhm.
sacrifice. You know, gone are the days when if you're a CEO, is seen as a privilege. But no, I mean, being a CEO is a tag that we shouldn't brag about it at all. It's a whole lot of responsibility, a whole
Right.
lot of sacrifice. And if you do not take it as a lifestyle, you find yourself wanting because you'll get to a point that you really will be fed up. And like
Yeah.
my friend 𝗬𝗍𝗿 said, you find yourself, you know, escaping
Mm-hmm.
the entrepreneurship world and joining the corporate world, which is not bad. I mean, in the
Of
end, we all
course.
have to survive.
But that shouldn't.
Um, yeah, but you need to start well. So I've seen most successful NGOs. I used to work for during my national service. I did national service with a top NGO in Accra, and trust me, they have money. They win so many grants, millions of US dollars. They have a lot of money. But I noticed one thing: every single day, by the time you get to the office around 8:30 a.m.,
Mhm.
you the office is already full. Cars are already packed. Like they usually get to the office by 6 or 7 a.m. every single day. And when it's time to close, is the secretary that always closes at 4 p.m. Or I wouldn't say all, about 90% of the staff stay until as late as 9, 10 p.m.
Right.
And that was something I noticed, that you always have to apply yourself. You know, even they have the money, but
Mm-hmm.
look at how they are. So from 6, they go on break at 1, and then by 9, 10, people are still in the office working. I was so
Right.
shocked. So if
Thank you
a huge
so.
organization like this is I mean, their staff are working, some are married, they have kids, but they still stay to work to finish their work before they go home. So if a huge organization with all the money,
Mm-hmm.
people who are getting paid a lot of cash, obviously, for the work they are doing, I mean the employees at this organization, then you that you are starting, I mean, I don't know, you don't have to relax, you know, and that's the trap that most entrepreneurs fall into it. The fact that you're running your business, you have control over yourself, so you can relax and expect things to happen. No. So I think that these are some of the things you need to consider to ensure that your business doesn't fail. And if you are running your business with somebody else, like a partner or co-founder, you need to set expectations for each other, ensuring that everybody is putting in the work. You know, you're sharing the risk equally, so that it wouldn't look like one person is always doing the work and the other person is not. And you know, because you need extensive focus to ensure that
Right.
you are not just making impact, but you are building a business. You are building a business. So this is the mentality that I think most people should have. Build a business to a point where when you are absent, the business will still continue without you.
Fantastic.
When you're absent, you should, I'm not saying you should die, but when you're absent or you move somewhere else to a different
that can be able to carry it through,
the business can continue to survive.
Thank you so much for that. We have some questions which we just have.
This is, enterprises don't die. They don't die at all. They just go on what I would say hibernation, because trust me, no matter the idea you have, no matter the business, the solution you're providing, it will still remain relevant. Guess what dies? Team dies. Team enable the enterprises to die. Your co-founders, your volunteers, your board members, all of those people are the driving force to what will whatever enterprise that you have. And I'm speaking from experience. And even 2019, we were forced to shut down operations completely.
Wow.
And I see Gerald is asking a similar question just here, because some founders don't complete. Yeah. We're doing so much. We're all over the news. People were like, yeah, you guys are getting so much funding and all. But trust me, we were on zero. Zero, not because we didn't have the right ideas or the right leadership. We just didn't have committed people. And trust me, if you don't have committed people, you would not grow. It doesn't matter whether you're doing it as a hobby. It was my full-time job. I quit my job as an oil and gas HR person in 2016 and focused on this full-time.
Wow.
Still, we still were not able to do things because we didn't get the right team, because of capacity, because very, very important. So whilst you're thinking about building your enterprise or thinking about a social innovation, please think about people that will help, that will not only help you, that will stay with you. Because imagine in the beginning of the enterprise, you win $100,000 grant. You all put yourself on a payroll of $1,000 a month. And then in 12 months, $100,000 goes down the drain. Another $100,000 doesn't come for another half a month. Then you will know the real people that you have in your corner. Then you realize people will say, oh, they can't commit anymore. They can't do the things you need to do. Before you realize your initiative is gone. So even though you're looking at bettering your skills, you also need to look at people who are committed, because it's very, this is across board, really, really across board, because sometimes even the CEOs and the founders, we are human beings, we have blood running through our veins, we get depressed. But if you don't have people who can help you grow that idea, then trust me, to remain dead and dead for good. So this is just something I wanted to add. We should consider looking for people who are committed. Think about how their commitment will be relevant. Are you going to make them founders, co-founders, partners? Even some of them, you make them, they still will not commit. So you need to look at the commitment level. When you're hiring people, put them on probation for at least 3 months. See what they can do before you write them on full-time. Come with this energy 1 week, 2 weeks. Think about this moving, especially for those who are looking to start new business. It's very important.
Thank you so much for that. It cannot be overemphasized. I would like to add that also it is important that we also utilize digital opportunities that exist. Look out for fellowships that exist. Look out for training opportunities. Be intentional in your networking, especially online. You have no excuse to not have access to certain people. I tell you this, if you present yourself as a person of value, the right people will reciprocate that respect back to you, and they will accord you their time, they'll accord you their expertise to help you grow your brand. Now, I wanted to talk briefly about this, which has to do, so somebody asked in the comment section, he said, how do you distinguish between your hobby and your business? So very simple, income diversification is the answer. I know that it's not easy for everybody to easily diversify their source of income, but it is doable. Now, why do I say this? I say this from experience. 2016, when I came back to Ghana from my job in Gambia, I literally started afresh, literally. And I relate so much to what 𝗀𝗍 is saying about sometimes people perceiving because possibly you have certain opportunities that you also have money or you are actually doing extremely well. So what do? Look at the skills that you already have that people are willing to pay you for, and then look at the skills that or the things that you are passionate about that people are not necessarily willing to pay you for, and try to monetize those skills that people are willing to pay you for while you're nurturing the business or the enterprise that you are more passionate about. Another thing also that I wanted to share briefly, or to ask one of the speakers, he's going to speak in under 2 minutes on this, is how can we be able to better access funding and fundraising? What are the new ways of accessing funding and fundraising that are increasingly becoming available to social entrepreneurs, especially in this new normal, and how can we position ourselves to attract these sources of funds?
Okay, so I let me speak about this briefly. So I think with social entrepreneurship, it's hard. Funding is hard. You know, it's not like a business where you can move from door to door to sell. It's hard, but one of the ways to which most people get funded is through writing grants or being part of fellowships or opportunities where they give you small grants like 5,000 USD, and then they support you with business advisory support, mentorship, and stuff like that. One other thing, or sure way, I mean, you're a social enterprise. It doesn't mean you cannot sell. So sometimes one of the things you can do is to, you know, come up with a product. You know, come up with a product where you can sell, you know, and make money in addition to you writing the grant, so you can be able to take care of yourself and cater for some few expenses, you know. So that's what I mean by the business aspect. So people are seeing you always making donations and paying school fees and doing this and that, but you also have the business side where maybe you set up maybe a donation on your website for people to donate, or you have some materials, you know, where you can sell to people, you know, like more ones like t-shirts and things like that. I'm just, you know, trying to make it easy. Apparels, so you can be able to raise money from those things. And there are other ways, like somebody who's running a travel enterprise, for example, can decide to put together like a travel and tour package. I mean, you're a social enterprise, but travel and tour package where people travel to, you know, learn a little bit about what happens in the country. You know, so it's all about packaging, you know, so that you don't wait to write grants. Sometimes you write a grant, you get response 6 months later, and it might even be a no. So that also works. But in addition to, you know, selling products, you can put yourself on a schedule to say every week I'm gonna write 1 grant, or every 2 weeks I'm gonna write 1, or in a month I'm gonna write 3 grants, and then put yourself together. You don't have to do it alone. Seek expertise, seek help. You know, there are some do's and don'ts when it comes to grant writing. You seek help, make sure you are doing the right thing, and you'll be fine. I don't know if 𝗀𝗍 wants to add up.
Yeah, what I would say is find value. Okay, grants is overrated. I'm sorry to use that word, but find value. What I mean by find value is there are so many organizations who want to solve a problem in your area of focus. So I use environment as an area, right? So there's a whole CLARICON for environmental sustainability, renewable ideas, and all of that. Look for people who need your services based on what you're doing. Don't do social media stressing. You can do those, but identify them personally. When you identify them personally, you tailor-make their problem your solution. So for example, if you find out that someone needs renewable, you tailor-make it and say, look, you don't have, this will save you money if you use my product, or if you use renewable and blah, blah. Show them the value of why they should work with you. That way you can get more people to pay for your services. You can get more people to donate to your fund. Personalization always works. Trust me. It's something I'm learning now. This whole social entrepreneurship thing, you're not good. Nobody is the master of it. You learn every day. So find value. It's the best way of raising funds, and check out opportunities online. There's opportunity desk. There's funds for NGO. There is there's this other one that, I mean, subscribe for newsletters. You'll be surprised. One of the best ways I've been getting information all these years is through newsletters. Go to organizations, big organizations that are focused in donations, support, acceleration. You'll be surprised. Read their newsletters. I read all the newsletters that come to my inbox. You'll be surprised the opportunity you would find. So check out, sign up for newsletters and all. You find opportunities. But most importantly, find value, provide value. Let your NGO not just be for NGO. You just want to receive. Do something that would make people want to come to you and say, look, you're the best person for this job because you've identified, you've tailor-made, and trust me, it will be challenging, but it will, at the end of the day, you would succeed. And there is nothing like a dead enterprise. You just need to re-strategize and know what you have to do and do it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I would like to wrap up this conversation by asking you both, what are the ethical considerations that social entrepreneurs need to consider and adopt to when dealing with partners, funds, and team members?
Okay, so ethical considerations, when someone gives you money, just use the money well. Don't cut corners. Don't buy something you're not supposed to buy with the money.
Right.
Just use it. If you said you were going to use the money for XYZ, just do XYZ. Don't go and add ABC to it. You know, and that's the main thing. Once you lose trust from one funder, let me tell you, most funders know each other, especially with the venture capitalists and the impact investors. They know each other. So if you mess up one time, trust me, the next time a funder is going to fund you around. Yeah, they're gonna ask around, do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? Is he credible? You know, these questions happen all the time. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. So you just have to, you know, make good use of it. Report if they say they need a report, write a report. If you need help, you can always ask for help. There are people like Fadila who are always, you know, writing reports, helping entrepreneurs, and they can help you. You know, yeah, you don't even have to pay much, but I think you have to stay committed. If you don't have a committed co-founder or partner, please speak up. You know, it's a real problem. You just speak up and ensure that he or she is also contributing. Make sure the risk is shared equally. You know, if things don't work out, I'm not saying it should happen, but if things don't work out, who's going to be affected the most? You know, so
don't be afraid to restart as well.
Yeah, exactly. You know, yeah. So
you can even close the entire initiative and start again.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Oh, I love this webinar. I wish we would be speaking for like 2 hours, but
I want to have you all stay, but we have another session coming up. Lastly, so for organizations of all sizes, medium size, large size, whatever it is that they are in, what would you say are the new opportunities that social entrepreneurship presents to them, and why should even corporate organizations consider creating a social enterprise within their scope of operations?
Okay, Fadila, there was something I wanted to share earlier, and I think this question that you just asked, kind of like, I mean, is the focus area. So it's the 5 predictions for the future of social entrepreneurship. I'll just list them quickly, and people can kind of like check it out. I can share the link as well and read more. One is social entrepreneurship will dissolve as a distinct discipline. What that means is every organization would eventually become a social entrepreneurship, like a social enterprise. Right. Be it the biggest tech companies to the smallest. Reason is because people are looking at how they can solve problems, whether in their communities, in their society, and all of that. So it's very important that people consider that social entrepreneurship will become the bold new normal, and you have to start incorporating it in everything that you do, in every single thing that you do. The next is assumptions of high profit margins will be recapitulated to the realities of mission-based enterprises. What it means is the enthusiasm around impact investing will continue to grow. So people need to think about how they can tap into this opportunity by being transparent in whatever that they do, structure their organizations very, very well to ensure that whenever they need, you know, an investor comes in, they can easily go for. Some people are afraid because their books are not audited, they are not even registered and all of that. So you need to prepare. The third is the greatest social change will be unleashed by moving the corporate needle. the surge enthusiasms for new social ventures would be very, very much astonishing, because initiatives, small enterprises will realize will start merging with big enterprises because of the kind of impact that they are making in their communities. And we are seeing it in Silicon Valleys, even in enterprises in Africa. They are merging because they realize that, look, those kind of solutions those people are preferring is something that is big, and now there is nothing that would limit them. The fourth is social impact assessments will become more sophisticated and fully integrated into organizational analysis. We're talking about the future of work. Workforce is literally going virtual, like every form, whether you're in manufacturing, whatsoever, it is eventually changing. People are adopting new technologies. Data analysis will become a driving force for social entrepreneurs. So they need to start thinking about how they organize survey, how they collect data, how they measure impact, how they meet their KPIs. These are real conversations that they need to have. And the last one is the impermanence and constant reconfiguration to define the careers of aspiring social entrepreneurs. See, I tell you what, if you're a social entrepreneur, please go and learn a skill around what you are looking to do. So if you're in the tech space, learn something. If it is how to code or how to read even if you don't want to code, understand a background in-depthly of what you're looking to do. Because trust me, even if you are a social entrepreneur in terms of just creating awareness and all of that, you need information, you need to know. You need to understand what the best practices are, what the new things are, how is technology driving change. People will say, oh, but me, I just help the women in 𝗏𝗏𝗏 to farm. I don't need any form of technology. You lie bad. Now, things like AI is helping precise farming, Farmerline, all of those other people. Technology is enabling so many social entrepreneurs. So we need to consider these areas in ways and ways that we want to build our enterprises in order for us to, reach more people, support more people, and at the end of the day, scale the enterprise.
This is incredible. I have no more questions. Both of you, the speakers, have literally gone beyond expectation. You have brought into limelight what we need to do as individuals, as aspiring social entrepreneurs, as current social entrepreneurs whose businesses or whose ideas have died up, and more importantly, how organizations at whatever stage they are in need to be able to adapt and what they need to do to be better prepared for the future of work. Without any further ado, is there any last words from you, Mr. Emmanuel? I'd like to thank you all profoundly for being here with us.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Such a pleasure.
I wanted to address two questions. The first one is, how do you find grants or research grants? I think basically is through the internet. There are some platforms where you have to subscribe, like GrantWatch and the rest. You pay annual fees, I think $100 or something. But I mean, as a startup, I would suggest this: when you go to the website of the embassies in Ghana, like Danish embassy, US embassy, just search for grants. All of them have grant opportunities where you can apply, for funding for specific areas. So that's one trick.
Right.
You should also look at, I think there is fundsforngos.com. And basically just go online and search, just make a search. And somebody also asks, how do you stay motivated as an entrepreneur? I think motivation stems from within. It's a tough game. It's like you're in a boxing ring and they are boxing your face and you don't know what to do. Oh my God, should I escape or should I stay? Motivations, I mean, everybody finds motivation in different ways. The best thing is to believe in what you're doing and take things one step at a time. I know we all want to get there, raise millions and all that, but take one step at a time, set achievable goals. Like, I want to raise maybe 5,000 cedis this year for my project, and then you start from there, then gradually build upon it. But motivation, I think the best form of motivation is motivating yourself, regardless of what anybody tells you. You need to believe in yourself that you can be able to succeed. So I just want to say thank you, Fadila, and everybody for staying for this webinar. I really appreciate your time. I believe it hasn't been time wasted, but we would use, these nuggets, to improve ourselves and businesses. And thanks, 𝗙𝗍, you are so deep. Like, yeah, you did an amazing job. So thank you as well.
Thank you guys so much.
This is amazing. I would like to thank you all. For our audience who are currently still on the call, we are about to start the next session. The next session is specifically for those who want to create a career in the developmental space. Possibly they are already working in the space, they want to pivot, or they want to transition into working with organizations of all sizes in the developmental space. So if you are that person or know that person, tune back in 5 minutes time. We're still going to have the call on, but we want to stop this call so we can record it, and then we can begin the other one exactly at 5:25. So in the absence of any further questions, I would like to thank you both. 𝗀𝗁, you were amazing. Emmanuel, I couldn't have asked for a better guest. And my co-host, she's been at the back end and just facilitating and making life literally easy. She just did a summary of the entire session with 8 nuggets that she has personally learned from this session. Maddie, any parting words for our audience before we start the next session?
Thank you so much to 𝗀𝗁 and Emmanuel for this enlightening session. I have so many pages of notes. I think it's when we have exciting and exhilarating sessions like this, we have this like a conference high or like a session high where we feel enlightened, inspired, and motivated to take action. And I just encourage everyone to connect with each other so that after the webinar today and after this week or after this month, the inspiration, lessons learned can continue to take action and build that momentum so we can all be successful in our social entrepreneurship lanes. So thank you so much. Yes, our journeys. Thank you so much, 𝗀𝗲𝗄, for having me co-host this first session. And I'm looking forward to the second session and looking forward to following our speakers' journeys.
Fantastic. Thank you all, and see you all in about 7 minutes.